Okay, let's kick off this deep dive with something bold. What if I told you there's one single thing you can do right now, free,
Okay.
and it's proven to instantly improve your focus, stabilize your mood, and on top of that, give you the best long-term protection against things like Alzheimer's, dementia, even depression?
Hmm. Sounds almost too good to be true, like the ultimate cognitive cheat code.
But yeah, the sources we've looked at all point to the same thing. We're talking about exercise and movement, right? Focus
Yes,
movement.
exactly. For so long, we've kind of mentally filed exercise under, good for the heart or maybe helps with weight. But that really misses the bigger picture, doesn't it?
It absolutely does.
So for this deep dive, we're really digging into the research to understand why movement is, scientifically speaking, probably the most powerful, smart drug our brains can actually use.
Yeah, our goal today is to lay out the roadmap for you. We're talking evolutionary reasons, the specific chemicals involved like neurotrophin, and how exercise dramatically impacts how fast you learn and how you handle stress. It's quite profound. Get ready to maybe rethink your whole workout routine. This isn't just about looking good. It's fundamental brain maintenance. Seriously essential stuff. So, let's start at the very beginning. The absolute foundation. Our sources point to this, well, fascinating and almost primal idea about the brain. Its main job, its original purpose, to move us.
It's actually the simplest way to think about it in biology. You've got one neuron, you're alive, you get two neurons working together, now you're moving. The brain, essentially, is the complex computer needed to coordinate all that movement.
Okay, so if that's the baseline, then the logic follows, right?
Yeah.
The more complex the brain.
The more complex and adaptable your movement can be.
Exactly. The brain's hardware kind of evolved in step with the need for better movement software, you could say.
Right. And what happens if you stop using that hardware for what it was built for? Nature has a pretty dramatic answer for that, apparently.
Ah, yes. This brings us to the Ascidian sea squirt. It's a fantastic example.
The famous, or maybe infamous, use it or lose it poster child. Precisely. So this sea squirt, it starts life with a basic nervous system. It swims around looking for a good spot to, settle down permanently.
Okay.
But once it finds that spot, anchors itself, and doesn't need to move anymore for food or survival, it literally digests its own brain.
Wow. It eats its own control center. That seems
Okay.
extreme. But is that really a fair comparison for humans? I mean, we're not sea squirts stuck on a rock. We move around, go to work, walk.
That's a fair point. It's not a direct one-to-one, but the principle of efficiency holds true. The human brain is incredibly greedy for energy. It uses about, 20% of your resting metabolism?
Yeah, it's a huge energy hog.
Right. So maintaining that complex, energy-hungry tissue is just massively inefficient if it's not being actively used, challenged, and justified through meaningful, complex movement. Why keep funding something you're not using to its potential?
It's like that analogy you hear sometimes, buying a super expensive high-end camera just to take a few blurry photos at parties. It doesn't make sense from an energy investment standpoint.
Exactly. The body needs a reason for the high cost of maintaining our cognitive abilities.
And that reason, the justification, is movement. Not just any movement, but movement that requires thought, adaptation, learning. Okay, so if movement justifies the brain's existence, let's talk about the growth it sparks. This is where we get into building new brain hardware, right? We have to talk about neurotrophin.
Neurotrophin, yeah. Specifically, BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. This stuff is central. For decades, the common wisdom was, adults can't grow new brain cells. BDNF completely flips that idea. It's the key hormone for neurogenesis, growing new neurons even later in life.
So we're not just reinforcing old pathways. We're actually laying down new tracks. This sounds like the key to staying mentally flexible.
It absolutely is. Think about what mental flexibility really means. Changing old habits, shifting your perspective, recovering from difficult experiences, adapting to big life changes. All of that needs new neural networks.
Right, new connections.
Exactly. And BDNF is like the fertilizer for that whole process. It's the basic maintenance you need to avoid, long-term cognitive decline, memory issues, the things that lead towards dementia.
And here's where it gets really practical for anyone listening who cares about productivity, about learning. Movement isn't just long-term protection. It boosts learning right now, immediately.
This is one of the most surprising findings, I think. The best performance enhancer for learning something new.
Yeah.
It's not some fancy pill. It's strenuous exercise. There was this study, right? They had people learning new words in a foreign language.
Okay.
They split them up. One group sat still before class. The other did high-intensity exercise.
And the result? Don't leave us hanging.
Get this. The group that exercised learned the new words 20% faster. 20%. Their brains were just primed, more receptive to locking in that new information because of the BDNF surge.
Wow, 20% faster.
Yeah.
That's a huge edge. And you don't need to train for a marathon to get this benefit, right? What's the dose?
No, not at all. The sources suggest that just 20 to 40 minutes of training is enough. The key is intensity you need to get your heart rate up, usually through aerobic exercise. That's enough to boost BDNF levels by around 30%. You're essentially pre-treating your brain for optimal learning.
Okay, so movement builds the brain. What about defending it? Let's shift gears a bit and talk about stress. That chemical overload we all feel from chronic stress and anxiety.
Right, the stress paradox. The classic example is always the zebra and the lion, you know?
Yeah. Immediate danger, life or death.
Exactly. The zebra gets this massive flood of cortisol, all the stress chemicals. It sprints for its life.
And crucially, that intense physical exertion, the running itself, helps burn off all those stress chemicals afterwards.
Yeah.
The body completes the cycle.
But here's the human problem. Our lions are often imaginary, or they're deadlines, emails, financial worries, abstract threats. We get the same chemical flood.
But we don't run. We sit there at our desks, stewing in it.
Precisely.
Yeah.
We just sit still, so those cortisol levels stay sky high. Chronically elevated, 247 day after day, because we never give the body that physical all-clear signal, and that chronic exposure is incredibly damaging.
How damaging are we talking? Is it just feeling frazzled?
No, it's much more serious. High, prolonged cortisol literally speeds up the destruction of brain tissue, particularly in areas like the hippocampus, vital for memory, mood regulation. It's not just feeling stressed, it's chemically eroding your ability to cope and remember.
So movement isn't just a nice-to-have for stress. It's like the body's mandatory cleanup crew.
Yes. It helps the body handle future stress better, too, makes it more resilient. And just like we talked about with BDNF, movement acts as a signal. Sitting still basically tells the brain, all safe here, no need to change or adapt.
Whereas movement,
Even intense movement in a controlled setting like a gym signals, pay attention, something important is happening, adapt, learn, change. It justifies the brain's resources being used for growth and repair.
let's talk motivation then. Everyone wants more drive, right? And that's tied to our internal reward system. The sources suggest exercise does more than just give you a quick feel-good hit. It actually upgrades the whole system.
Well, yeah, we're talking dopamine. The key neurotransmitter for motivation, for anticipating rewards. Exercise definitely increases dopamine release, that's true. But the really deep insight is that it increases the number of dopamine receptors in your brain's reward centers. Places like the nucleus accumbens.
Okay, hang on. Increasing the receptors, why is that more significant than just more dopamine floating around?
Think of it like, well, imagine dopamine is music playing. Increasing dopamine is like turning up the volume slightly, but increasing the receptors is like upgrading your speakers. You become more sensitive to the music that's already there.
Yeah, okay, so the same signal has a bigger impact.
Exactly. It translates into feeling rewards more intensely, maintaining motivation more easily, things that you already enjoyed. Maybe they felt like a 7 out of 10. Now they might feel like an 8 or 9. You get more sensitive to those positive feedback loops.
So things just feel better, more rewarding.
Pretty much. You become more receptive to the good stuff, which naturally drives more motivated behavior.
And we know it's not just dopamine, right?
Yeah.
It's a broader mood boost.
Oh, absolutely. Exercise also boosts serotonin, crucial for mood stability, and noradrenaline, which helps with focus. And the data on this is really compelling. Some studies show that daily exercise can be equally effective for improving mood in depressed patients as taking common antidepressants like sertraline.
That's a really powerful finding. It positions movement as a genuine therapeutic tool, not just, a healthy habit.
Definitely. And even if you're listening and thinking, well, I feel fine, I'm already motivated, exercise still acts as a performance multiplier. It sharpens your focus, speeds up learning through that BDNF boost we talked about, stabilizes motivation. It basically stacks the cognitive deck in your favor.
Right. Now we have to circle back to those things we maybe dismissed earlier, the vague benefits like heart health, weight management, things people often only worry about when they get older or face illness.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But our sources give us a much more immediate metabolic reason to care about this stuff right now, whatever your current weight or age. We need to shift the focus from just burning calories during exercise to improving metabolic efficiency. Look, the simple truth is, just running for miles isn't always the best path to long-term weight management or high energy levels, not unless that exercise is specifically aimed at two cellular goals.
Okay, what are the goals?
One, sustainably increasing your muscle mass. Two, increasing the number of mitochondria inside your cells.
Mitochondria. Remind us those are the cell's power plants, right?
Exactly. They're tiny organelles inside almost every cell, and their job is to take energy from food calories and convert it into ATP, the usable energy currency of the body. They are literally your body's engines.
So more mitochondria means more power.
More power, yes, and a higher energy demand. If you have lots of mitochondria, your cells can produce energy much more effectively. Your whole metabolism runs hotter.
And how does muscle mass fit in?
Muscle tissue is packed with mitochondria. It's basically the body's main storage depot for these energy factories. So when you do strength training, resistance work, you're not just building bigger muscles, you're building more mitochondria factories.
I see.
And when you have more mitochondria per cell, your overall metabolic rate goes up. You burn more calories even when you're just sitting around resting.
So the goal isn't just the calories you burn while exercising. It's building an engine that burns more calories all day, every day.
Precisely. You're fundamentally restructuring your body to be more energy efficient and metabolically active. That's a far more effective strategy for long-term weight correction and just feeling energetic than simply trying to outrun your calorie intake every day.
Okay, so let's pull all this together. We've got the evolutionary need for movement, the BDNF boost for faster learning, the cortisol reset for stress resilience, the dopamine upgrade for motivation, the mitochondrial overhaul for energy.
When you put it all together, the conclusion is pretty staggering. If some pharma company could actually bottle all of that, all the immediate mental benefits, all the long-term physical ones into a single pill.
It would be the biggest blockbuster drug in history, no question.
Without a doubt, the most valuable drug ever created.
And for you listening, especially if you're focused on performance, productivity, feeling sharp, these immediate mental benefits of movement we've discussed, they're arguably far more important right now than worrying about heart health decades down the line.
Absolutely. And this deep dive really shows movement isn't just a fix for people who feel bad. It's a massive performance enhancer for people who already feel good. It makes you better, sharper, more resilient. It's a multiplier.
So here's the final thought we want to leave you with. Try to stop thinking about movement as a chore. Something you have to do to maybe lose weight or prevent some future illness.
Yeah, shift the perspective.
Instead, view it as essential daily maintenance, non-negotiable upkeep for the single most important organ you rely on for your work, your thinking, your happiness, your brain. Honestly, the best investment you can make this week might not be reading another productivity hack. It could just be getting up and moving right now.